Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My name is Rachel Monroe. I'm from a small town in Kentucky, but what happened to me and my daughter? It could happen to any woman, anywhere. And if you're a mother, if you'd ever die to protect your child, then you better listen to what I'm about to say. Because the people closest to you? The ones you trust with your life? Sometimes, they are the devil in disguise. It all started the day I came home early, a decision that saved my daughter's life. I slammed open the front door, juggling groceries in one hand and my purse in the other, muttering under my breath. Of course no one helps bring the bags in. Typical. It was a hot August afternoon, and I'd just gotten off work early for the first time in months. I was sweaty, tired, and didn't expect anyone to be home. Then I heard it. A scream. High-pitched. Terrified. Mom. Everything inside me froze, except my legs, which ran before my brain even caught up. The scream came again, louder this time. Mom. Help. And it was coming from upstairs. I dropped everything. Purse. Eggs. Glass jars. The sound of things crashing behind me didn't even register. I bolted up the stairs, heart in my throat, lungs on fire. My daughter Ava's room was empty. Her bed unmade. The bathroom door? Wide open. But the sound was coming from his room. My stepfather. Steve. The man who married my mom after my real dad died in a car crash. The man who raised me since I was 10. The man I let move into our house after Mom passed, because I didn't want him to be alone. He was supposed to be family. I banged on the bedroom door. Ava? Ava, are you in there? Open this door. Silence. Then I heard her cry. Please, stop. Please stop. That's when something inside me snapped. I didn't wait. I took 3 steps back, let out a guttural scream, and kicked the door so hard it cracked at the hinges. One more kick and it flew open, and I swear to God, what I saw will haunt me forever. Ava, 14 years old, wrapped in a towel, sobbing in the corner. Her phone broken in pieces on the floor. And Steve, shirtless, standing 3 feet from her with this disgusting, twisted look on his face. Like I just ruined some kind of game. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember lunging. But I remember punching him. Once. Twice. 10 times. Until my knuckles bled and he was curled on the floor, holding his face. You stay away from her. You hear me? He tried to speak. It's not what it looks like, Rachel. Shut up. I turned to Ava and ran to her. She collapsed into my arms, shaking, crying, struggling to speak. He said not to tell, he broke my phone, he said it was our secret. My whole world shattered in that moment. I held her tighter, then fumbled in my back pocket for my own phone. I hit 911 so fast I nearly cracked the screen. 911, what's your emergency? I didn't hesitate. My daughter is 14. She was in the room with a grown man who touched her. I want him arrested. Now. Let me tell you something. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes, it smiles at you across the dinner table. It helps you with the groceries. It watches TV in your living room. You think you're protecting your kids, and all the while, the threat is already inside the house. Steve had been in our lives for years. I never once imagined he'd ever hurt Ava. But predators don't wear signs. They earn trust. They manipulate. They blend in. I keep thinking, what if I hadn't come home early that day? What if I had worked my regular shift? Would he have gotten further? Would she have stayed quiet out of fear? How long had it been going on? Those thoughts still keep me up at night. But that day? I didn't freeze. I didn't wait for proof. I didn't second guess myself like so many women are taught to do. I believed my daughter. I called the cops. And I pressed charges that same hour. Steve is now awaiting trial. But I'm not here to tell you how it ends. I'm here to tell you how it starts. With that voice inside you that says something feels off. That gut feeling that tells you, this doesn't seem right. Listen to it. Your instinct is your weapon. And if you're a mother, you don't need to wait until the evidence is perfect. Your child's tears are evidence enough. The sirens came fast, too fast, like my whole street suddenly woke up from a nightmare. I stood on the porch, arms around Ava, both of us trembling. She hadn't stopped crying since I pulled her out of that room. I hadn't stopped shaking either. The officer stepped out first. A woman, thank God. Her eyes went from Ava to me, to the busted door behind us. No questions at first, just action. Ma'am, is that him inside? I nodded. He's in the hallway. I want him gone. I want him arrested. I want him locked away from my daughter, forever. 2 more officers stormed in. They didn't ask much either. They didn't need to. One look at Ava, her torn towel, the bruises on her arm, the fear in her eyes, and you could tell this wasn't just some misunderstanding. This wasn't about confusion or context. This was real. And it was happening in our house. They let him out in cuffs. Steve looked at me like I betrayed him, me. Like I was the problem. You're ruining everything, he hissed, face bruised from where I'd hit him. You don't understand what you're doing. Oh, I understand, I said. And if you ever get out, you better pray I don't see you again. I didn't even realize I was crying until Ava grabbed my hand. Her voice barely audible. Mom, don't let him come back. I won't, baby, I whispered, holding her close. Not in this life. Not ever again. The hospital was cold. Too clean. Too bright. I hated it, the way it made everything feel sterile when our lives had just shattered. The nurse asked questions gently. A counselor came in. Then a forensic examiner. They said things like, we just need to make sure she's okay, and this is standard in cases like this. I nodded, but inside, I was screaming. How did I not see it? How long had he been grooming her? What was I doing while she was living in fear? Ava looked so small in that hospital gown. They examined her, swabbed her, took photos, collected clothes. She didn't fight it. She didn't cry. She just stared at the ceiling like she wasn't even there anymore. Like part of her had left her body. And I hated him more than I've ever hated anyone in my life. The social worker came in an hour later. Clipboard. Polite smile. Questions. Do you live alone with your daughter? Yes. And the suspect, he's your stepfather? He was. How long has he been living in the home? 8 months. After my mom passed. She looked up. Was there ever any prior concern about his behavior toward Ava? My jaw tightened. No, I said. But now that I look back? Maybe there were signs I just didn't want to see. You think you'd notice. You think you'd pick up on something. But predators are quiet. They're calculated. They offer rides. They offer to help with homework. They give gifts. They build trust, not just with the child, but with the parent. Steve used to say, Ava's lucky to have 2 parents who care. He used to bring her ice cream after school. He'd sit next. That. Or, Ava's a teenager, you know how girls lie. No. No. Not my girl. Ava wasn't lying. She had no reason to lie. And she wasn't the one caught shirtless in a locked room with a crying child. I realized then, for some people, truth doesn't matter. What matters is how comfortable the lie makes them feel. One night, Ava asked me the question I'd been dreading. Why don't they believe me? I pulled her into my arms. Because they don't want to admit they were wrong about him. Because it's easier to say you're lying than to face the truth that they failed to protect us both. She wiped her tears. It's not fair. No, baby. It's not. But we're gonna fight anyway. She looked up. Even if no one believes us? I kissed her forehead. I believe you. That's all that matters. That's all that ever mattered. The day of the trial felt like walking into a graveyard with fireworks stuffed in my chest. I was nervous, angry, shaking, but I was ready. Ava was too. She wore her black hoodie, the one with the sleeves she could hide her trembling hands in. Her face was pale, but her chin was up. My daughter had grown up years in a matter of weeks. When we stepped into that courtroom, I knew two things. 1, they were going to try to destroy her. 2, she was going to burn every lie they threw at her to the ground. Steve sat there in his suit, trying to look weak and frail, as if the man who stood shirtless over my crying child had never existed. His lawyer smiled too much. That kind of slimy smile you only see in people who enjoy making victims relive pain just to win a case. And then, they started. Ava Monroe, the defense attorney said, standing just inches from the witness box. You're 14, correct? Yes. You do well in school? Yes. You've never had any behavioral issues. Until recently, is that true? My stomach tightened. Ava looked at him squarely. I got quiet because I was scared. Oh? Scared of what exactly? She hesitated. I could see her knuckles whitening around the chair's arm. Of what he'd do if I told anyone. The courtroom shifted, a whisper, a murmur, a reaction they couldn't hide. But the lawyer wasn't done. You're aware this is a serious accusation. You're saying this man, your grandfather, touched you inappropriately? Ava's voice cracked. Yes. He leaned closer. And there's no proof of that, is there? Just your word? That was when she said it. There is proof, she whispered. The room stilled. Even I looked up, confused. The lawyer blinked. I'm sorry, what did you say? I said there's proof, Ava repeated, louder this time. You didn't find it because you only looked at my phone. He looked to the judge. Your Honor, this was not disclosed. But Ava kept going. He told me not to say anything. But the night before, I used my tablet. I had it hidden behind my pillow. I recorded everything. The prosecutor jumped to her feet. Your Honor, we were unaware of this evidence. Requesting immediate review. The courtroom exploded. Within 20 minutes, the judge called for a recess. Police escorted Ava and me to a private room. We pulled up the tablet. I had completely forgotten it was even in the house. She hadn't used it in months. And there it was. A low-resolution video. Dark lighting. But the sound? Clear as daylight. Steve's voice. Whispering. Threatening. Manipulating. Don't tell your mom. She'll just make it worse. This is just our little thing. I love you. You're special. I couldn't breathe. Tears streamed down my face, but I didn't sob. I didn't even blink. I just looked at my daughter, my brave daughter, and said, you just saved a lot more girls than yourself. Back in court, the defense was quiet. His lawyer asked to delay proceedings, denied. The judge ordered the video admitted as key evidence. Steve's face turned white. I watched it happen in real time, the panic, the guilt, the realization that his lies couldn't cover this up anymore. He looked at me. For the first time, his eyes begged. But I wasn't there to forgive. I was there to finish it. When I took the stand, I told the truth. I told them what I heard when I came home early. What I saw when I kicked open that door. What I felt when I realized my stepfather, the man I let into my home, had been preying on my child. And I ended with this. You don't need to look at me. Look at her. She didn't run. She didn't lie. She recorded him because deep down, she knew no one else would believe her unless she had something tangible. And that is what's wrong with this world. That we force children to prove abuse when their fear should have been enough. The courtroom was silent. For once. Steve had nothing to say. The judge set sentencing for the following week. The DA promised jail time. Steve's bail was revoked permanently. And as we walked out, hand in hand, Ava said something that broke me and healed me at the same time. Does this mean I can finally sleep without a nightlight? I smiled through tears. Yeah, baby. You can sleep in peace now. The monsters behind bars. It's been 5 years since the trial. 5 years since Ava stood up in court and helped put a predator behind bars. 5 years since I learned that evil doesn't always kick in your door, sometimes, it walks in holding flowers and calls itself family. We moved states. Started over. New home, new school, new names on our mailbox. The kind of quiet, anonymous life where people don't know your trauma unless you tell them. And for a while, we didn't tell anyone. We just breathed. I watched my daughter grow into someone I admire, not just love. She's smart, funny, a little sarcastic, and fiercely protective of her peace. She volunteers with survivor groups now. Speaks in high schools. You'd never know what she lived through, unless you listened closely when she spoke about power. Because she knows what it feels like to have it taken, and what it means to take it back. One night, we were sitting on the back porch, just the two of us, drinking tea like we always do on Fridays. She turned to me and said, "You know what the worst part was?" I paused. What? She looked straight ahead, not blinking. It wasn't the abuse. It was wondering if anyone would believe me if I said it out loud. I nodded slowly, heart aching. And what was the best part? She smiled, soft and sad. Watching you believe me, before I even finished my sentence. That night, I cried after she went to bed, not because I was broken. But because I realized we had survived something meant to destroy us. And we weren't just healing. We were building something stronger from the wreckage. Steve is still in prison. Last we heard, he applied for parole and was denied without hesitation. The judge's comment made headlines. You groomed a child inside a home that trusted you. This court doesn't trust you now. Appeal denied. It felt like closure. But closure, I've learned, doesn't come from court papers. It comes from moments. From peace. From finally laughing without flinching. From hearing your daughter sing off-key in the kitchen without fear. From opening doors, literally, without your heart skipping a beat. But sometimes, the past knocks anyway. One summer afternoon, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. I opened it with the kind of dread I hadn't felt in years, like trauma had slipped through the cracks in our new life. Inside was a short note. You were right to do what you did. I should have spoken up a long time ago. He did it to me too. Jay. I stared at that letter for 10 minutes. My hands shaking. Because I knew who Jay was. Janet. My childhood neighbor. She used to babysit me when Steve and Mom would go out. She vanished from our lives when I was about 13. No warning. No goodbye. And now, decades later, she was confirming it. He hadn't just hurt Ava. He had done this before. And no one believed her either. I showed Ava the letter. She read it in silence, then passed it back to me. You think she'll come forward? I shrugged. I don't know. But that's not our burden anymore. She nodded. Still. I'm glad she said it. Feels like we weren't crazy. You never were. She smiled. Neither were you. Now? Now we live louder. We don't tiptoe around pain. We speak it. We name it. And then we push past it like we're not afraid anymore. Because we're not. We've seen the worst. And we're still standing. Together. Survival isn't the end of the story, healing is. And healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without fear. It means using your voice. Not just to scream, but to teach. To lead. To protect others who haven't spoken yet. Because when one voice rises, others find the courage to follow. If you've ever carried the weight of silence, of secrets, of not being believed, this story is your sign. You are not alone. You are not to blame. And you do not owe anyone your silence. Drop a fire in the comments if you're choosing to live louder. For your kids. For your inner child. For you. We believe you. Always.